Former President Donald Trump, never one to shy away from bold pronouncements, has once again thrust himself into the center of a geopolitical firestorm with his recent declaration about the Panama Canal. In a move reminiscent of his most aggressive policy stances, Trump has unveiled a plan to reclaim the Panama Canal for the United States, citing national security concerns and economic interests as the driving forces behind his proposal. This audacious declaration, delivered with his signature blend of bluster and bravado, has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles and left many observers questioning the rationality and legality of such a move. Trump's pronouncements have been met with a mixture of derision and concern from international legal experts and seasoned diplomats alike. Many have pointed out that the legal basis for such a seizure is tenuous at best, and the potential ramifications for U.S. foreign policy could be severe. The Panama Canal, a vital artery of global trade and a symbol of Panamanian sovereignty, has become the latest flashpoint in what appears to be Trump's ongoing quest to rewrite the rules of international engagement. The audacity of Trump's claim is amplified by the historical context in which it arises. The Panama Canal, a 50-mile-long engineering marvel, has long been a source of both pride and contention for the United States and Panama. Built by the U.S. in the early 20th century, the canal served as a testament to American engineering prowess and a strategic asset for U.S. military and economic interests. However, the canal's construction and subsequent control by the United States also left a bitter legacy of colonialism and resentment among many Panamanians who viewed the canal zone as an infringement upon their nation's sovereignty. Trump's plan, unveiled with characteristic disregard for diplomatic norms, has been met with a swift and resolute response from the Panamanian government. Condemning the proposal as a blatant violation of their nation's sovereignty, Panama has vowed to fight tooth and nail against any attempt to seize control of the canal. The international community, too, has largely condemned Trump's saber-rattling, with many world leaders expressing their unwavering support for Panama's right to control its own territory. The history of the Panama Canal is inextricably intertwined with the complex relationship between the United States and Panama. The idea of a canal across the Isthmus of Panama, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, had been a dream of imperialists and merchants for centuries. In the 19th century, a French effort to construct such a canal ended in failure, plagued by engineering challenges and disease. It was the United States, eager to project its power on a global scale, that ultimately took up the mantle of completing the canal. The U.S., under President Theodore Roosevelt, secured the rights to build and control the Panama Canal in the early 20th century. The construction of the canal, an engineering feat of unprecedented scale, came at a high cost, both financially and in terms of human life. Thousands of workers, many from the Caribbean islands, perished during the canal's construction, succumbing to disease, accidents, and the unforgiving jungle environment. The canal's completion in 1914 marked a turning point in global trade and solidified the United States' position as a dominant force in the Western Hemisphere. For much of the 20th century, the Panama Canal remained under U.S. control, a source of both pride and tension between the two nations. The presence of a U.S.-controlled canal zone on Panamanian soil became an enduring symbol of U.S. imperialism and a rallying cry for Panamanian nationalists who yearned for full sovereignty. The issue of the canal's control sparked protests and riots in Panama, culminating in a bloody clash between Panamanian civilians and U.S. troops in 1964. The desire to address this festering wound in U.S.-Panama relations led to the signing of the Torrijos-Carter Treaties in 1977. These landmark agreements, negotiated between U.S. President Jimmy Carter and Panamanian leader Omar Torrijos, paved the way for the gradual transfer of control of the Panama Canal to Panama. The treaty stipulated that the U.S. would hand over full control of the canal to Panama on December 31, 1999, ending decades of U.S. dominance over this vital waterway. Trump's rationale for reclaiming the Panama Canal rests on a foundation of allegations that are as dubious as they are inflammatory. Central to his argument is the claim that Panama has mismanaged the canal, allowing it to fall into disrepair and jeopardizing the free flow of global trade. Trump has repeatedly pointed to recent fee increases imposed by the Panama Canal Authority as evidence of this alleged mismanagement, arguing that Panama is exploiting its control over the canal to line its own pockets at the expense of the United States and other nations. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump has also leveled accusations of Chinese involvement in the Panama Canal, alleging that China is seeking to gain control over this strategic waterway. Trump has pointed to the presence of Chinese companies operating ports at both ends of the canal as evidence of this sinister plot, claiming that China is using these commercial ventures as a Trojan horse to expand its influence over the canal itself. These accusations, laden with Cold War-era rhetoric, play on existing fears about China's growing economic and military might, painting a picture of a rising superpower intent on challenging U.S. hegemony in its own backyard. Trump's allegations of Panamanian mismanagement and Chinese intrigue have been met with skepticism and outright denial from both governments. Panama has vehemently refuted claims that it has mismanaged the canal, pointing to a robust record of maintenance and modernization efforts that have ensured the canal's continued efficiency and safety. Panamanian officials have argued that the recent fee increases, far from being arbitrary or exploitative, are necessary to cover the rising costs of maintaining and upgrading the canal in the face of increasing traffic and the need to accommodate larger vessels. China too has dismissed Trump's accusations of a clandestine takeover plot as baseless and irresponsible. The Chinese government has reiterated its commitment to respecting Panama's sovereignty over the canal and has denied any involvement in its operations. Chinese officials have pointed out that the presence of Chinese companies operating ports in Panama is purely commercial in nature and does not constitute any form of government control over the canal itself. Trump's pronouncements on the Panama Canal have ignited a firestorm of controversy, drawing condemnation from international legal experts, diplomats, and world leaders alike. Critics have denounced his plan as a blatant violation of international law, a reckless act of aggression that threatens to destabilize a region crucial to global trade and security. The potential legal ramifications for the United States are significant, with many experts warning that any attempt to seize control of the canal could result in severe diplomatic and economic repercussions. At the heart of the legal debate surrounding Trump's claim lies the Torrijos-Carter treaties, the very agreements that paved the way for the peaceful transfer of the Panama Canal from U.S. to Panamanian control. These treaties, ratified by both nations and enshrined in international law, explicitly recognize Panama's sovereignty over the canal and guarantee its neutrality. Legal scholars argue that any attempt by the U.S. to unilaterally reclaim the canal would constitute a clear violation of these treaties, undermining the very foundation of international law and setting a dangerous precedent for future disputes. The potential economic fallout from a U.S. takeover of the Panama Canal is equally concerning. As one of the world's most important shipping routes, the canal facilitates the flow of billions of dollars worth of goods each year, connecting Asia, the Americas, and beyond. Any disruption to the canal's operations, whether due to political instability, military conflict, or economic sanctions, would have ripple effects throughout the global economy, disrupting supply chains, increasing shipping costs, and potentially leading to shortages of essential goods. The international community, recognizing the stakes involved, has largely rallied behind Panama in the face of Trump's provocative rhetoric. Governments from across Latin America and beyond have issued statements condemning Trump's plan, reaffirming their commitment to upholding Panama's sovereignty and the sanctity of international agreements. The United Nations too has weighed in on the matter, urging all parties to respect international law and to resolve any disputes through peaceful dialogue.